everybody, and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode, we're reviewing New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion 2022. If you have not seen my shows before, we grade everything here on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Let's jump right into it. First match of the show, we get Tenzan, Master Wato, and Raisuke Taguchi versus Aaron Henare, TJP, and Francesca Akira. And I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit tired here. I'm recording this basically a few minutes after the show has just ended. United Empire comes out with boxer Jesse Vargas. The other team, 6 or 9, and Tenzan come out with Nakanishi. I thought this was a good opener. I really enjoyed it. I kind of liked Henare here. This kind of felt like a coming out party for Henare more than anything else. I really feel like he's evolving very rapidly, and I think him being in the United Empire, being around guys like Osprey, like Cobb, like Great Khan, is really helping his growth, and he's becoming what we always thought he could be. I thought this was a good opener. The United Empire team of TJP, Akira, and Henare pick up the win here. I'm giving this a 4. I really enjoyed this to open the show. Next up, we have representing LIJ, Naito, Bushi, and Hiromu Takahashi versus representing Bullet Club, El Phantasmo, Taiji Ishimori, and Ace Austin. Again, another really good match, a really good start to the show. Kind of foreshadowing what was going to happen with the rest of the night. I was a little bit surprised that on the one side you had all juniors, and on the other side you have Naito, which was kind of a little bit shocking. Not to the point where it didn't make any sense, and we'll see later when they announce the G1 competitors. They announced LP is going to be in there, so maybe he's moving out of the junior division, and maybe this was his basic first foray out of there. The Bullet Club team picks up the win here after another really good match. I'm giving this a 4. Again, show starting off really hot with 2 good matches right in a row. Next up, we get Toroiano versus Doc Gallows. And I know I'm probably ripping right through these. I'm rather tired right now. Yano and Gallows, I think I may have expected more than I got out of this match. Not to say that it was a bad match, but I don't feel like it lived up to my personal expectations. I expected this to be a much better match. I expected this to be one of the highlights of the night for me. It was one of the matches I was most looking forward to. That being said, it was still a good match, still a quality match. It didn't take that importance to me. Yano wrestled the whole match like he was scared of Gallows, which kind of is his shtick. Although I felt like we've had an evolution of Yano, and since he's been a KOPW champion, I think he's a little bit more serious, and this felt like a regression for him, in my opinion. Even though Yano picks up the surprise win here, I still feel like he didn't look like he was on Gallows' level, and it felt wrong that he wouldn't be on Gallows' level because Yano's proven that he can wrestle top level guys. He can be on that level. I'm going to give this match a 3. Again, it was a good match. I may have personally hyped it up for myself a little bit more because I love Toroiano. Doc Gallows I really like too, so it may be my own fault that I thought that this was going to be, I had higher expectations than what the match actually played out as. Next up, we get another 6-man tag match for the Never 6-man Tag Championship. We get representing Suzuki-gun, Zack Sabre Jr., Kanemaru, and El Desperado going up against Evil, Sho, and Yujiro Takahashi. There's something about House of Torture there, and I know a lot of fans don't like them. I'm not saying I don't like them. I like the people in there. I like Evil. I like Sho. I like Yujiro. I just don't feel like the story they're trying to tell with House of Torture, with them being overly gimmicked and overly relying on cheating as much and distractions and interferences, I don't think it fits them. I think we have a team or some wrestlers that could be taken really seriously. Much like I said with Yano here, I kind of feel like going the route of making them this quasi rule-breaking team doesn't do them favors. They do pick up the win here. Again, a little bit disappointed in this match. Still a good match, but a little bit disappointed here. I'm giving this a 3. Coming out of that, and I just seen this after the show went off the air, as I was getting ready to come and record this. Apparently, Zack Sabre Jr. went backstage and called out Bryan Danielson for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. That is going to be one hell of a match. That may be the match of the year. As much as I can hype any match I will ever hype, I am very much looking forward to that. You have two of the great wrestlers in the world. I personally love both of them. I love Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. I love Zack Sabre Jr. I think they're going to have a fantastic match. If they give them 20 plus minutes, they're going to steal the show no matter what else is on there. I'm really excited to see what happens from that. Again, gave the match itself a 3. Coming off of that, we get the Bullet Club of Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale defending their tag team championship against Jeff Cobb and the Great O'Khan. I was a little bit surprised with the outcome here. It kind of felt like if you were just going to go right back to Cobb and O'Khan, why take the belts off them in the first place? I know there's a shock factor of Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale winning because they don't normally win much. They're kind of the fall guys within the Bullet Club. But I did like the match. I really did. This match, after the couple lulls that we had leading into this I really started to pick up. And I really love the team of Cobb and O'Khan. They're starting to really, really grow on me. The more that they mesh together as a team, and instead of two solo guys working together, the more I'm really liking what they're doing. I think they've got a gold mine here, and both guys can both be solo stars. They're both very good talents. I just am really starting to enjoy what they're doing with this. As I said, Cobb and O'Khan do pick up the win here, win the tag titles back. Afterwards, we see Rocky Romero try to attack the United Empire, but it doesn't work out so well for him. So I'm going to guess that there's probably going to be some sort of best friend / Roppongi Vice versus United Empire match at Forbidden Door. I know we're going to have some multi-man matches just to get more people on the show. I'm okay with that. I'd like to see that. Probably going to have United Empire go over there because Best Friends and Roppongi Vice have not been portrayed as strongly as United Empire. Be kind of cool to see Cobb and I believe Cobb and O'Khan will probably go up against FTR, so maybe we'll see Aussie Open and Hanare and maybe TJP going up against Rocky Romero, Trent Beretta, Chuck Taylor, and maybe Orange Cassidy if he's able to wrestle by then. Either way, we start to see a little bit of them building towards what should be the feud for Forbidden Door for both of them. So kind of cool to see that. Next up, speaking of Forbidden Door, we get to see an eliminator match or qualifying match. The winner of the match goes on to Forbidden Door to wrestle for the interim AEW World Championship. We have Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Hiroki Goto. I love this match. I think this is my second favorite match of the night. I thought it was a fantastic match. I think Tanahashi and Goto, anytime that they've had singles matches, and it's been a while since they've had a singles one outside of the G1, anytime that they do have single matches, even in the G1, I think they tear the house down. Something about that combination, and I know Tanahashi is one of the greats of all time. Goto is an underrated talent, a really good talent as well. But something about them two versus each other, I think, brings out the best in both of them. I really, really enjoyed this match. Tanahashi picks up the win here. I'm giving the match a 5. Like I said, it's my second favorite match of the night, and we'll get into my favorite here in a little bit. But I really enjoyed what they did here. And like I said, I just love every time these guys go against each other. They bring it at a different level for each other. Now, coming from that, for the Never Openweight Championship, we get Otonga versus Carl Anderson. Again, I thought this was a good match, a very solid match. I don't agree with the outcome here. I much like I said earlier, with talking about Chase and Fale, why would you put this Never Openweight Championship on Otonga when he loses it his first defense? And I know the Never belt kind of bounces around a little bit, or it has bounced around a bit. But to me, Otonga winning the Never Openweight Championship was the first thing that really separated him from being kicked out of Bullet Club, where you could see, okay, he's going to be okay on his own. He doesn't need to have Bullet Club. He could go on and do his own thing. So I feel like it's a little bit of a letdown for him to lose it. I'm not saying that Carl Anderson isn't going to be a great champion. And it may be possible that they did this because Tama's not going to be available for Forbidden Door. I don't know. Maybe they have bigger things in mind for Otonga coming down the line. But to me, I don't think I would have made that decision. I would not have had this. Carl Anderson does pick up the win here. Although it was a really good match, I don't like the decision. I'm giving it a 4. Next up, we have for the vacant U.S. Championship, which Juice Robinson had to vacate due to appendicitis. We have Sonata versus Will Osprey. Again, another really, really solid match. The back half of this card is loaded with just really good to great matches. Sonata and Osprey, both guys that you can count on to deliver no matter who they're in the ring against, and especially when they're going up against guys that have an equal talent. I consider Sonata and Osprey to be two of the top tier guys in all of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So this was by no stretch of the imagination, this was not a surprise that this was a really good match. Osprey, I love the transformation he's doing. I kind of like the conspiracy gimmick he's running with now, where he believes that New Japan is screwing him. I like his transition into being the head of the United Empire and how that's changed him and how that has changed his wrestling style. I think Will Osprey is probably one of the top 5 or so wrestlers in the world now. Maybe top 10 if you want to really push it, but I don't think there's many people better than him, and I think Sonata is and can be right on that level. Osprey does pick up the win here. He does not get the championship belt because Juice still has it, which leads to him still talking about his conspiracy theory, which all seems to work out to further Will Osprey. I'm giving this match a 5. I thought it was really good, really solid match. Again, this back half of this card was just amazing. Last but not least, the main event of the evening, We get the Switchblade, the Catalyst of Pro Wrestling, Jay White, going up against Kazuchika Okada for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. I had good expectations for this match, and I had an idea going into this match of what was going to happen. Both my expectations were exceeded, and my idea of what was going to happen was also changed. I kind of felt like this was a throwaway main event. It felt like it's obvious that Okada is going to be defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship at Forbidden Door. No knock on Jay White, but to the general wrestling world, Okada is a name that is more well known. Not saying that Jay White isn't known, just that Okada has done it at a high level for a longer period of time. And I was pleasantly surprised. We got, I would say personally, this is my favorite Jay White match of all time, and it's right up there with one of my favorite Okada matches of all time. Dare I say this is just below the matches he had with Kenny Omega, just below the matches he had with Tanahashi. I really, really enjoyed this match. My expectations were high, and they were met and exceeded by how good this match was. Jay White has clicked into a different level. He is on that Kenny Omega, when Kenny Omega was the leader of the Bullet Club level. He's in the area where Okada was when Okada was at his peak. And Okada's still in his peak, but at the peak of his popularity, or Tanahashi at his peak, Jay White has stepped it up to that level. He's like AJ Styles when AJ Styles was in New Japan. I think that's AJ Styles' best run. He's like Kurt Angle when Kurt Angle came to TNA at first. That's the level that Jay White is operating on right now. He's telling stories on a different level. He's wrestling on a different level. He's interacting. His whole interaction with the crowd, trying to get them to speak through the whole match, was so compelling because, as you may or may not know, in Japan, since the thing that we're not going to say because YouTube doesn't like that word, since that happened and the world changed 2 years ago, they've said they've had a mandate not to yell, not to scream, not to cheer. You could only clap while you were in the arena. So Jay White trying to engage the crowd to get them to cheer after 2 years of not cheering, it was just something. And then finally at the end, he gets people to make noise. He gets them to open their mouths and make noise. Other than just cheering, he gets them to actually, other than just clapping, he gets them to cheer, he gets them to talk. That's how good of a piece of work this was. Jay White did a masterful job, and I'm not discounting what Okada did, because it does take two people to make this. Okada's Okada. When the history books of pro wrestling are written, there's going to be a full chapter on how great Kazuchika Okada is. Jay White has come up to that level now. And I was surprised, I was shocked, Jay White picked up the win here. I was almost 100% certain. If you would ask me to bet my life on it, I would have bet Okada was going to win this just because of what's going to happen with Forbidden Door here in a couple weeks. I was pleasantly surprised that they threw a curveball here, because I think what's happened is they realized what kind of level Jay White is on, and they're rewarding him for that. And I said it just a few months ago when I talked about Guerrillas of Destiny being kicked out of the Bullet Club. What was the Bullet Club going to do? How were they going to move on? And not only have they moved on and continued, but they've elevated. The entire group has elevated, and it's all elevated by Jay White. I mean, we've added Ace Austin, who's the X Division champion. You got, they lost the tag titles here, but Carl Anderson picked up the Never Openweight Championship here. I mean, when you look at the lineup, there's 7 belts in the in the group. You got the junior tag titles. You get the Never Openweight Championship, or 6-man, the Never Openweight Championship, the World Championship, the X Division Championship, the juniors tag titles. I mean, it's just, it's nuts how they've moved on from that. And I personally, I admit it, I questioned what is going to happen with the Bullet Club, because I didn't know that they could move on from letting Tamatonga go, or firing Tamatonga, or however you want to say, kicking him out of the Bullet Club. I didn't think they'd be able to survive that. But not only have they survived that, they've thrived, and I dare to say that Bullet Club is at its biggest level since Kenny Omega left. And that's a lot to say, and a lot of that lays strictly on the shoulders of Jay White. Again, I'm not trying to diminish Kazuchika Okada's involvement in this match, because it does take 2 to tangle, and he was fantastic as well. Kazuchika Okada, god tier wrestler. He's a, when you look at the tier lists that people make, and I made a couple myself, he's going to be that S tier guy, that top level no matter what. I mean, he is the guy. He stands on top of Mount Olympus. I thought this was awesome. The surprise of Jay White winning, and I don't do this often, but every now and again I do. Much like Dave Meltzer can break his 5-star scale, I break mine every now and again too when a match goes that far above everything. And obviously, when I mentioned earlier, there was another match that I liked more than Tanahashi and Goto. This was that match. I'm going to give this match 7 stars. It's that much better. I mean, and it's not that the other match was bad. The other match is really good and would be the best match on a lot of wrestling cards. This was just on another level. Like I said, this was on the Okada Kenny Omega level, Okada Tanahashi level. A level that very few, it's rarefied air to get up into that area. For a match that I thought was going to be a throwaway, it absolutely blew me away. It was amazing, in my opinion. Now, with all that being said, as you may tell by the tone of my voice and the several times I've stumbled through this video, I am very, very tired. Overall, I give the whole card a 5. It was amazing. If you have the ability and you haven't watched yet, go back and watch this on New Japan World. It's 999 yen a month, which in America ends up being somewhere between $8 and $10 every month, depending on the transitional rate. And wherever you are in the world, I'm sure you could find a converter that you could figure this out. It is well worth your money to buy New Japan World. Even if you just get one of these a month, it's worth the money. With all that being said, please like this video, share the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you made it all the way to the end, let me know that you made it to the end. Put down here in the comments, Catalyst for Jay White. And with all that, I'm going to head off to bed. My name is George Coles. This has been my review of New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion 2022. Everybody have a good night.